All right. Hello, everyone. We are live. We are here to talk about Tinder for Zendesk, something you're probably not typically seeing a lot of LinkedIn Live events. So this might be a first of its kind. So I've got Craig and Todd here. I'm going to pass over to them to, well, actually, I guess I should introduce myself first. I'm Brittany Joyner. I am head of developer relations here at PixieBrix, and I'm going to be emceeing and moderating this discussion. And I will pass over to Craig, one of our guests. Craig, tell us more about yourself and what we're talking about Tinder for Zendesk for.
Hey everyone, my name is Craig Stoss. I am the Director of CX Transformation Delivery at Partner Hero. And what that means is that I focus on how can I best deliver the services that Partner Hero provides. And we're going to touch on Partner Hero in a second. But really, my background is in customer experience. I've been customer facing for the better part of 30 years and in all sorts of roles and across 30 countries across all sorts of verticals. And what I'm really focused on, what I'm hyper focused on is where can we improve our tooling? Where can we improve our process? And where can we enable our people to be better at what they do? And this idea that we're going to discuss in today's chat really stem from that kind of mindset of how can we provide higher level services and more effective agent support to our customers.
Yeah, I love that, and we're gonna obviously dive deep into all of that. Todd, over to you.
Great. So I'm Todd Schiller. I'm one of the co-founders of PixieBrix and also our CEO. Within PixieBrix, I help lead our product and engineering team. So really excited about the use case that Craig developed on the platform and excited to dig in today.
Yeah, so we're going to dig in. We're going to talk about this. A couple quick housekeeping things because I know this will come up. We will be asked. This will be recorded. This is being recorded. You can come back to YouTube or LinkedIn, this page at any time and rewatch this, but we will also have separate recordings and make sure that this is accessible for everybody. So if you need to dart at any point, no worries. Totally fine. Will be recorded. Also, this is interactive, right? We're here. This is a discussion. There's not slides. We're going to show some demos. We're going to have some conversations and talk. Would love for you to be part of it. If you have any questions, post in the chat on YouTube or LinkedIn. Either way it works. We will see it, and we would love to chat about those things. We'll either answer in the chat or here on the call. But yeah, if you need anything at all, having any technical difficulties, just let us know. And the agenda, what we're basically going to do for the next 30 minutes or so is we're going to learn a little bit more about Partner Hero and PixieBrix and how these two came together for making this Tinder for Zendesk use case for clearing out your backlog. And I'm super excited to see it. Craig's going to show us what it is and how it works and what his experience was like building it and talking through a little bit of that. And I'm super excited because even though I don't necessarily work in customer success, I think we can all relate to having a backlog that just continues to fill up and fill up and fill up. And it's like at some point you just got to clear it. And like if only it could be as easy as doot, 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 doot. And Craig solved that for us. So yeah, so Craig, I'll pass it back to you to tell us a little bit more about Partner Hero and just kind of set the scene here for what you're doing there and what's kind of the mission and how this is formed.
Yeah, no, thank you, Brent. Partner Hero is a CX services provider, mainly within the outsourcing space, where we work with our partners or our clients to formulate plans that are customized to them. That involves, in my opinion, people, process, and tooling. And what we do is we work with each of our clients to formulate what is the best thing to deliver to them. It's not just a butts and seats model. We want to make sure you have the right service. So from a people perspective, where should those people be? What languages do you need to speak? When should they be working? Those types of things. From a process perspective, how are your tools working together? Do you have the right workforce management strategy, QA strategy, those types of things, data strategy? And then where I mainly come in is on the tools side. Can we make sure the tools are working effectively for you? Can we make sure we streamline those tools? Can we supercharge your agents, enable them to be better at what they do and how they provide support to your customers? So Partner Hero plays in all of those spaces. My focus is mainly on that tools with a little bit of the process side as well. And what we really want to do is make sure that we're offering the best possible support to your customers as one of our partners.
I love that like holistic approach where I feel like too many people try to think of any department really, but especially customer success as one or too many things. It's like, oh, you've got to have people quickly responding to stuff, or like, oh, you've got to have the right tools. You've got to use AI and automate. And it's like it's not usually any one of those things, right? It's a holistic sort of process of bringing those together. And sometimes like you kind of miss the what's the saying? You miss like the forest for the trees kind of thing. And so it's like I can imagine for sure the value of having someone come in and help you with the whole forest there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the approach we want to take. Our solution designers come in right at the first meeting to make sure that A, we're a good fit for you as a business, and then B, to make sure that whatever our services we offer, you can derive value from.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And speaking of services that drive value, Todd, that feels like a perfect segue to talk about PixieBrix.
Thanks, Brett. So at PixieBrix, we're on a mission to empower everyone to create the perfect user experience for the technology that matters most. And so I think our mission really resonates as well with the Partner Hero mission when it comes down to each, each team's needs are different. And so how do you create that perfect experience, that perfect UX or perfect customer experience for the needs at hand? And so with PixieBrix, we're the first low-code platform to modernize the web applications that you already use. We deploy as a browser extension. So you might be thinking of browser extensions like Grammarly or coupon clippers like Honey. What that means is that PixieBrix can access and modify pages while you're on the web page. Over the past year, we've seen a surge in interest for people to add custom co-pilots to the applications and the technology that they already use, where PixieBrix becomes that eyes and ears or the hands and feet of AI. And particularly, and I think this is why it's interesting for our conversation today, is we've seen a lot of interest in contact center and customer experience in providing agent assist tools. But really the use cases run the gamut of embedding automation, artificial intelligence, collaboration, integrations, and even compliance and governance into applications that don't have those. And I think where we're different from other tools that you might see on the market is that compared to automation tools, we're really focused on human augmentation. So human in the loop, making humans great at what they do and freeing them up for high value work. And then from a development standpoint, we're really more agile than some of those tools, other tools out there, because you can build on top of existing applications like we're going to see today versus reinventing the wheel or creating yet another screen that an end user has to learn.
Yeah, and, I mean, I used PixieBrix before I came to work here at PixieBrix, and, like, it's very cool. It genuinely feels like magic, and I always tell people that it's your way of making your app do what you want, right? Like, so I kind of got interested in it from I'm a big Trello user, so I started with Trello and was like, "Trello's not gonna make these features, but now I can make whatever I want with PixieBrix." So, that's super cool. We've got a question in the chat, about does PixieBrix work with Vivaldi and Edge? Todd, I'll let you answer that.
Yep. So PixieBrix does work on Chromium browsers. We officially support the Chrome web browser, and we're in the Chrome web store. We do have enterprises using us on Microsoft Edge. There's certain features like Google Drive that doesn't work currently on Microsoft Edge, but we're working on that, and so we'll have official support in the Microsoft Edge store soon. And then I think on the Vivaldi side, it would be a similar story where most of the features should work, but there may be some that don't.
Yeah, we've got a follow-up question about can it work on mobile?
Uh, no, not today. We don't work on mobile.
Yeah, don't worry, it's on my wish list. I think it's on various people's wish lists. We would love that. So, yeah, let's actually dive right in now. And we've talked theory. Let's actually see what we're talking about here, Craig. If you want to show us, feel free to like kind of walk us through the problem you were trying to solve and when you found PixieBrix and what made you choose PixieBrix and how this kind of came together.
Yeah, absolutely. So really my hypothesis, and I've had this belief for many months now, is that uh, help desk UIs are not conducive to a fast experience on the agent side. There is a lot of clicks. You need to set fields, you drop down fields, you search for your categories, you have to set the priority, you have to type your message. It's in this tiny little widget that's hard to read sometimes, so you have to scroll up and down. If you want to copy in a link, you have to go to maybe another website or the sidebar and drag and drop that thing in or copy paste it. If you have to go to another tool, you have to copy in an email address, go to the other tool, paste it in. Lots and lots of clicks. And working at Partner Hero, working with our 250 clients, I have seen this across almost all of them, right? In the sense that no help desk is self-contained. Um, and so the idea is, well, okay, we now have, for the past year or so, maybe year and a half, we now have really solid natural language parsers and strong APIs and strong tools that have grown up, have grown and expanded over the past year and a half, which allow us to bring information together to make smarter and more effective use of our time, be more productive. And so my thought was, well, let's think about the problem here. The problem is we need to set a bunch of metadata fields. We need to update a ticket. We need to generate a response for that ticket. Maybe we need to search our knowledge base. Maybe we need to go out and call to other tools that we use, like Shopify or a shipping tool or whatever it is, depending on our business. What if there was a tool that sat on top of your help desk and was almost agnostic to your help desk? It doesn't have to be Zendesk. It doesn't have to be Freshdesk. It can be any of your tools, and did all that in a smart way. You told it, hey, here are the tools I use. Here's the knowledge base I use. Here's all the things I have available to me. And then you just pop up with a widget that says, as an AI and as a bunch, based on what you told me, here are all the metadata fields you might want to set. Do you agree or disagree? And turn it into, I call it Tinder for Zendesk. The idea
Yes.
being that you can say yes, and it updates the ticket and sends the message and closes it, or no, and then that gets escalated to a tier 2 or goes back into some queue where you can then revisit the example. So what I what I was trying to do was find tools that were generic enough that could handle that type of complexity, um, but streamlined enough that I could deploy this to one of our 2,500 plus agents that we have in at Partner Hero. And quite honestly, going to market for a tool that generic is basically impossible. And that's when I largely came across PixieBrix, which was this idea of, well, you can design your own little widget. You can design what information's pulled in. You can call API calls. And I remember one of my first conversations with PixieBrix, just kind of like brainstorming these ideas and like, well, can you call out to this API? If I do, what do I do with this information? And how can I set it in this field? And having a really dynamic conversation, and then we set the task to pull off that vision. So the use case really was, let's simplify what agents have to do to do their day job and therefore save minutes per ticket, if not many minutes. Um, and then be able to deploy that in multiple different use cases. So company 1 might use a different help desk versus company 2. Company 3 might use a completely different tech stack than company 4. But in the end, it's the same set of widgets. It's just you're putting in different calls and different customizations.
You're just plugging in the different pieces to it, right? It's the
Yeah.
same core. Yeah.
And in PixieBrix, that would be plugging in different bricks or removing different bricks, right? And that would be the advantage of a tool that you control over, say, a point solution that where you really are just using someone else's functionality.
Yeah.
What I thought I would do here is I'll do a really quick demo of what we built. There is an article posted that goes into a lot more depth.
Yep. I'm
And
going to post
shows
that in the
this.
chat.
Perfect. And then we'll go into a few more details of the development experience, etc. So let's
do it.
let's see
I
if
will
this
add the
works.
stage. Yep.
So I'm going to use just a really simple example of a queue with just one ticket, but I think it'll get the point across pretty clearly. So in PixieBrix, I have created this button. This button will take the active view in Zendesk and will automatically pull in the tickets in order. In this case, it's ticket 747. And you can see here, it's loading a response. It's pulled in the ID of the ticket, the subject line of the ticket, and the description of the ticket. And if I highlight over it, you can see the description is, I cannot figure out how to change the status, and it's pulled that in. Now, in this example, I'm only setting a couple of fields. I'm setting the response to the user and in the status. but you can set any amount of fields in here, right? That's the key. And on top of that, you can also do all sorts of customization. So, for example, I could pull in automatically DJ who submitted this ticket. I could pull his name in here. Also, edit this to include DJ's name in here.
Yep.
And you can see here it's solved the problem. It says I'd be happy to help you with that. I have prompted the AI in this particular case to be an agent and be friendly. You could say it says to mark a ticket as solved, you need to have the right permissions, and then it gives you the steps to do it. So it's answered the question pretty well. And then it's left a spot for my name. And again, you could automate that to have my name automatically put in. But I can edit this field, and I have two options here: either send back to queue, which is the negative option saying, hey, I'm not ready to send or respond to this, or the resolve ticket button. And when I click resolve ticket, the ticket is now solved and my ticket is cleared. If I refresh this view, you'll see the ticket has gone.
Woohoo!
If I open up ticket 747, you will see in the background that it is marked as solved, and you can see my latest response. Obviously, this is I've had some other testing going on, but you can see my latest response, and this message went to DJ and had my answer in there. Very lightweight, very easy and simple to 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 use. And as you can see, it's very one clickable. You know, it's something that would be much faster than having to type that up, click here, solve, et cetera, et cetera. It's very, very fast. And if there were more, more tickets in that queue, the view would automatically go to the next ticket, and it would just iterate through the entire view one by one.
I was just gonna say someone just posted in the chat and asked what happens in case of multiple tickets, but it's grabbing the one at the top each time, right? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
iterating through them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way this mod is structured is that it grabs it from top to bottom. So presumably your view is in some order that you've defined, and it will just go from top to bottom, one ticket at a time, through all of them, as long as it's still in the view.
Todd, is this something, when you were designing PixieBrix, did you think one day it would be something like this and it would be described as Tinder? Like, did you think Tinder would come anywhere near any sort of description for PixieBrix?
No, this is incredible. I think one of the innovations that Tinder had, right, was they invented that sort of swipe left, swipe right, sort of gamification to it, and
Quick
that
decision. Yeah.
simplicity.
Yeah.
And so I think bringing that sort of UI innovation to the customer service space and customer support space is just incredible.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I'm curious on that demo, could you walk through sort of which pieces of information come from the screen? So I saw that there's a button placed on Zendesk itself, and so which pieces come from the screen versus which pieces might be coming from an API?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll share
Yeah.
my screen again to make it a little bit more clear. So, why don't we? I'll open this ticket again. I'll mark it as open, and then I will open the view again because that ticket will now be back in the queue. So, the way this mod works is it calls out into the Zendesk API to get a list of all the tickets that are in a particular view, and that API call in Zendesk returns a set of IDs. Those IDs are stored in the page state, so those IDs are stored as an array, and then it goes through and says, okay, go and get the ID number, and then call all the Zendesk API to get each set of ticket details. In this case, I'm pulling in the subject and the description. The next thing it does is it then sends using the ChatGPT brick. It sends over all of this information. It sends over a prompt saying, in this particular case, you are a Zendesk administrator who works in support to solve problems with Zendesk. It says things like, be very step by step, be empathetic. It's a prompt, and then I send over this information saying, please solve this ticket.
Could
It
you,
generates.
could you
Yes.
open up the page editor and kind of show us that? We don't have to like change anything in it, but like,
Sure.
would you be able to like open up the page editor and show us these bricks? Just because I think that might give us a little more context. Oh, although I don't know if it's going to show that in the screen share right now. We're not seeing the page
Oh,
editor bits.
You might have
yeah.
to reshare.
Yeah, you mind if you share?
And
No
I'm
worries if
curious
that's
as
not
well.
going to work.
I think you had mentioned that The mod itself actually knows which is the active view. So if a user had multiple views, it would know
Yep.
which queue to burn down. And how is it finding that active view?
It finds the active view by using a uh, so when this view highlights in Zendesk, it changes the description of the CSS element that is stored, and so it
Mm.
uses that to pick it out. So if I look, that's this brick right here. So this is extract information from the page, and don't worry about the specifics, but it extracts the data view ID, which you
Hmm.
can see if you look closely at this number 5437. You can see it's the same as what appears up here because it's the
Nice.
selected view. So this goes and pulls out the number from this selected widget. Um, and then it calls out to the Zendesk API. This is the Zendesk call that says, "Get me all the tickets from a particular view." Uh, yeah, and then specifically, we want to talk about ChatGPT. So what it goes is it says, "Okay, here's my prompt. You are a support agent that solves problems related to Zendesk," and then it sends in the ticket description. That ticket description comes from an event trigger where we send in the next one in the queue. So you can see here we have a counter that starts at 0, which is the top of the queue. So this is number 0, and it sends in the subject and description from uh, the 0th position, and then that counter is incremented every time you click a button. And I see a question: where's the secret store for
Yes.
Zendesk? It is stored under the options here. I can't show it because then you
Because you
could,
will
in
show your
theory, have
secret. But yeah,
access to my my Zendesk. But if you click on this here, there's a set of options, and those options are editable upon install. So, for example, if I was to deploy this to my team, when they install the brick, it would pop up and say, in order to use this brick, you need to program in your API secret code or secret API key.
yeah, you put
And
that in when you activate it, and it's
yeah,
something you can pass to your teammates. Like they don't have to code anything; they can just add it in
correct.
and run it. Yeah, yeah, that's super cool. Like, and it's interesting to see. I obviously kind of got a little bit of a sneak peek, like reading through your blog posts and stuff, seeing what's going on here under the hood. But it's like it's really cool to see how all of this comes together. And the way I like to describe bricks is they're like mini functions, and so each one's kind of you're walking us through the different things they do, and you piece it together. And rather than having to you know write an HTTP request like straight up from code. You can just configure the here's the endpoint, here's what we're posting or fetching kind of things. So yeah, it helps for me. It helps all of this makes a lot more sense to see this visual of like how it all comes together.
Yeah, and then other than that, it's so this is, for example, this is the rejection update. So if I were to reject it, you'll see that it posts a internal comment. So public is false, and it says this was the response that was rejected. That way, if someone is reviewing the ticket, they know that what was rejected, and it sets the status to pending versus the update of the ticket. If it was successful, it sends in the response and marks the ticket as solved. So you can see that's how it differs. And honestly, if we just go through and do it, if I go send back to queue again, it finishes. And if I look at the ticket, you'll see that it has now an internal comment that says this response was rejected. And if I clear that, you'll see the status is pending here. Um, but yeah, that these are the bricks. I wanted to talk a little about the experience of building this. So
Yeah, yeah, please.
the I think the number one thing is that the uh sorry, I just lost my train of thought. The number one thing I think with this was that you had to think through the logic behind each step you wanted to take and what you needed at various parts of it. I do have I haven't coded for years, but I have a computer science degree where I did used to code, and so it was one of those things that, unlike code, where you're worried so much about for loops and things like that, you're more thinking about where are these objects stored and how do I get access to them? And luckily, PixieBrix uh, allows you to um, click on. here. Allows you to access, oh, there's my API key. Don't look, don't look. Shoot. Um,
I'm not looking.
yeah. But
Yeah,
it allows you to see the context of what you're dealing with at any given point uh in your program. So you can go and see, oh, at this point, here are all the variables I've access to. Um, and how do I access them? And not only that, you can have access to them simply by clicking the copy button. And now I have uh, the counter variable that's stored somewhere that I can now use it. And I'll just post it here just temporarily. But you can see there's the counter variable
yep.
um, in there because it's at mod dash counter. And that I think is really useful, is the sense that what do I have access to? How do I get access to it? And you'll see if you look at the article we posted, I do a lot of that. I get to another brick and I say, well, I need this information. I go to the context tab, I select the copy button and then paste it in to the appropriate place. I think the challenge, and this is something that feedback that I've shared that I hope improves it in the next coming weeks and months, is documentation. Some of these bricks and how they work together are not as well documented as others. And what I struggled with most in my building of this was really figuring out what each brick did and how certain bricks are different than other bricks. For example, this is I built a couple other mods, and there's extract information from page versus extract HTML. Those are different and they're used for different purposes. And it's not always intuitive today, and that's mainly a documentation problem. The brick does it what it's supposed to do, but it's not always intuitive why. The other thing that was a bit of an interesting learning was the nunchucks syntax. So I worked with Liquid before. Nunchucks is very simple, similar to Liquid, but it's quite different. And you'll see I use that. I had this up earlier where I increment the counter, for example. You
Mhm.
see here, this is nunchuck syntax, and it's very powerful. You can edit text variables. You can replace objects. You can replace uh, values with other values. Very, very powerful, but something that was a bit of a learning curve. And I think the
I
final thing that I'll mention is the UI, building of the UI. Well, again, very powerful. I'm not a style. Where's my UI widget? Response for here.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Very powerful. I'm not great with design. That's not my strong point. And so figuring out how to make the stuff green. It's all here in various places in CSS, etc. But it took me some time to get all of this stuff working and in a way that looked at least decent for a demo like this. So a few things to think about when you're building it, but overall, again, low code. You don't need developers to build this. I will not consider myself a developer at all. And then overall, I would say end to end, this took me maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours of building, including some testing time and
Oh,
some
wow.
light error handling.
I would say that's actually pretty fast. Like I know some mods I built like are maybe similar level of complexity and have taken me longer at times. So
Yeah.
like that's super impressive, and that's all like really good feedback and good to hear. Like we actually have a project right now that I'm heading up that is redoing the docs. It's going to get a total revamp and be like much more clear. Like it's going to be the way I'm thinking of it. It's like we're right there holding your hand, guiding you through exactly like what you need to know. And
Yeah,
we also
and
do. Oh, go ahead, Todd.
the other thing I'll point people to today is over the past few weeks, we've released a series of templates for different use
Yep.
cases that we see very commonly in the wild. So these include things like building a knowledge base assistant tool, building checklists. Maybe we'll have to add the Tinder for
Yeah.
Zendesk to the template library as well. But the point very well taken there. And I think on the side of Nunjucks as well, that's another thing that we recognize that people want to rely on the tools and technologies that they're familiar with and that are well documented. So one initiative that we'll be adding soon is actually adding support for JavaScript to be able to transform data as well. So that will make it much easier to put together payloads for API calls as well as transform data coming back, all in a form that more people are familiar with, or if they're not familiar with it, they can go ask ChatGPT to write the code for them.
Yeah, yeah. We also one other thing I kind of wanted to point to that we recently launched the PixieBrix and AI certification. I don't know if you got a chance to go through that or not, Craig. I can't remember if okay, yeah, no worries if you haven't. But basically it's going to kind of go through some of these core principles in a little bit more detail and kind of like explain like what you need to know as you're building. Like I kind of took it from like you know nothing about Pixie Breaks. Like what are the core concepts you kind of need to know to build something kind of like this? Build your own AI tool with Pixie Breaks and learn how to use the ChatGPT bricks, understanding the render document brick and like how to like style those sort of things for someone who's, not necessarily a designer. You don't know like all of the bootstrap styles and things like that. So I'll post a link to that in here, but definitely recommend checking that out. And we also try to encourage people to join the community as well, which I lead that over there, and like we're happy to get you help. Like I don't know many other communities where you can jump in and like post and ask a question, and like the actual product people can respond to you within a day and help you if you get stuck. So just some things I wanted to call out that we're like working on through there. But anything else that I guess either one of you would recommend for someone who's wanting to become a Pixie Bricks developer and build more Tinder tools?
Definitely, I think I would recommend as well for people who might be coming from a background of robotic process automation or other sort of adjacent technologies. There are some people who have made YouTube videos that kind of come at it from that perspective of if you're familiar with these sorts of tools, this is how you'll use PixieBricks. So a great example of that is for in the robotic process automation space. Anders Jensen has a great YouTube channel that he's done a couple of videos, as well as some chats that we've had with Micah Smith from Automation Anywhere, talking through how you use those technologies together. So I think those are great ways to get inspired, but also see how the similarities between those two tools and how they connect together.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're kind of coming up on time here, but one other question that came up I wanted to highlight here. Someone's asking in case of errors during the API call, what will happen? And I kind of responded in a chat with like the quick like, the mod will error out, but you can use the try except brick to kind of wrap them and handle those errors more gracefully. But I thought maybe one of you two might want to take that and explain a little bit more.
I mean, I think the the value of this is that you define what happens, right? I think that's part of the interesting thing that PixieBricks brings to the market that maybe a third party app couldn't, right? Is that what do you want to happen? And a try accept brick is probably the best way to handle it. In what I just demoed, I did not put in if the API errors, the whole thing will just stop. It'll just say I can't access the list. In fact, I think it would just show the backlog cleared icon because it will say I don't have a list of tickets, therefore you must be done. Um, but yeah, I mean, in the future, there are different error codes in the Zendesk API that are well documented. And if you want to do something interesting with each of those, uh, up to and including, you can change your authentication key on the fly, for example, right? So, yeah, I think that's the value of it. Overall, like what I just showed you is very very simple. I think the larger play here and the one that I want to get to is that, as I said, this is help desk agnostic. So it determines what help desk you're in and then picks up the right API key depending on what help desk you're in. So there's like some smart, case or if statements in there. I would love it to fill in other fields based on sentiment, like maybe if someone's angry, up the priority. I would love it to fill in information. This example is for my team who does a lot of work with Zendesk. So what if it filled in automatically? Oh, it's this customer. We know this customer. The Zendesk URL is abc.zendesk.com. Fill that in automatically for me. That's the type of thing that I'm really excited about. Is the fact that I can add those features at any time, um, to make this my own tool, and I can generalize those features that I can send that to any one of our agents for any one of our clients, and have them use it for their use cases. So, this is a great example, error handling. How do you want to handle it? And I think that's true for the entire value proposition of PixieBricks.
I love that. And I think another area that I'm curious about is kind of you mentioned a lot of these tools have a lot of fields for keeping track of things in terms of sentiment or tagging it to particular products, et cetera. How do you feel how do you think about AI changing the trade-offs that teams face between data collection, keeping track of trends, as well as the agent experience, and then also how that impacts the customer experience?
Oh, that's a question we could probably have our own hour-long conversation on. Um, I'll boil it down to a couple simple points. I think the biggest trend in CX over the next 2 years is going to be using it to personalize and improve the speed of the support experience in this particular type of use case. And what I mean by that is we're very, very used to two things in our world today. One is what I call the Netflixification of our society, which is everyone wants a personalized set of recommendations on demand. I want what I want when I want it. And then two, um, the idea that um, we want our responses now, and uh, we want people to know who we are. We don't want generic robotic messages. And I think that those two things on the consumer side are going to change the way we do support. And to your question, what AI brings to that is AI can read all of this information from all of your tools. It doesn't even have to be AI. Like AI can be part of it, but it's going to be able to provide the agent with all of this context, and context is important to personalization. It's going to be able to say, this person, the last five things this person did in your SaaS product, the last 10 products they purchased, how much money they've spent with you in the past year, where are they located, what language do they prefer, do they have a pet dog, right? Like anything, right? I mean, and that's the thing that can help you have a more personal conversation, whether it's a human conversation or a chatbot conversation. And excuse me, and it can help speed up the process because you now can generate those responses, you can fill in those fields, and you can disposition a ticket faster. um, and that combined, I think, provides a better customer experience. And largely, I think that that's just the way it's going to be in the future, right? I have, not in the next 2 years, but I eventually picture a world where, I tell some bot that lives in my house, and I'm not talking about Google Home or Siri. I'm talking about something like some AI that I own, that sits within my network, that knows me. It knows what store I shop at. It knows what branded dishwasher I have. It knows my TV. It knows what I watch. It knows the types of clothes I wear. Everything about me, where I like to vacation, and I can just go to an empty web page, or I can speak to it or whatever, and say, "Hey, dishwasher has error code E05," and that thing figures out for me who I need to talk to, or maybe it knows what that part is broken and sends me the part, or maybe it directs me to my local dishwasher repairman or whatever it is. But it just knows me, and I don't care who is servicing me. I just know that this is the problem, and you are going to tell me what the best way of solving this problem is.
I feel that way
That's
too. I don't care if it's like a human I'm talking to or a robot, whoever's gonna get me the answer the fastest, like, let's
exactly.
do that. That's what I want.
And that to me is where this ends up. That's the end game for a lot of this. And I think that's what we just need to start thinking about in the current microcosm of our companies.
I like what you said when we were chatting earlier, and you were talking about seeing AI as like augmentation to humans and not like replacing humans, but augmenting them. I really liked that idea because I think there's a lot of talk now about, is AI going to replace us? And like, I think it just helps. Like, there's certain processes that it helps with. Like, I don't think it's a blanket, like, yes or no sort of thing. I think it can enhance a lot of things. So I liked what you said about like augmenting it.
And I think the people, I'll even extend on that. I think the people that do replace humans with AI completely, are making a mistake, right? They're removing the analytical side of things. Like, what I just showed you could be automated. Right? There's no reason why I have to click the send button. But having that human eyes to look at that and say, did the AI hallucinate? Is this stuff what I would expect to send? Is this what I would have done if I had done it manually?
Mhm.
There's a lot of value in that. And so yeah, I don't not only do I not see AI replacing humans, I see I think it's a mistake to think that direction.
Yeah. And anything you want to add or jump in or chime in with that, Todd?
No, I think that's very aligned with how we think about things at PixieBrix. So I love that point of view.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Yeah.
curious, Greg, where if people want to learn more about Partner Hero, if people want to learn more about your writing on these sorts of topics,
Yeah.
where should they find you?
So partnerhero.com is our website. My division is the CX transformation team, and all of our services are listed on our website around managed help desk, managed chatbots, managed knowledge base, and managed phone services that we provide. And then me personally, all of my writing, all of my all of my webinars are all on stos.ca, stoss.ca, and I write a lot about these topics and speak on things like this all the time about CX because I'm very passionate that we are all consumers and yet we get CX so wrong as consumers sometime and as business delivery people. So let's all improve our lives by making a better CX for everyone else.
Absolutely. I love that. And I posted links to that in the chat here. Yeah, we're coming towards the end of our time here, but yeah, Todd, anything else you want to say in terms of if people want to learn more about PixieBrix or get involved more here where we should point them?
Yeah, definitely pixiebrix.com. Encourage people to try out the new developer templates as well as the certifications. But a big thank you to you, Britt, for hosting and Craig for joining.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me. This was
thank you both for
excellent.
joining. Yeah, this was awesome conversation and it is recorded. You can come right back here to this very link you're watching at to see it again. And yeah, thank you all. We'll be doing more of these, so make sure to stay tuned. Thanks everyone for joining.